Today I'm going to be showing you how to get Fang Robotics MCB installed on a bare bones environment. So we're going to be working with GNOME boxes, and this is a virtual machine utility. If you have Windows, I would recommend just doing a virtual machine or a dual boot or uninstalling Windows. They have moved from Flatpak. Okay. So, Flatpak install. So if you look up here, Ubuntu, and so the image that you want, I would recommend downloading the desktop, not the server, and then I believe that I have Plucky Puffin. Not gonna lie, not my most favorite name for operating system releases, but there's also Noble Numbat. So this one is if you don't really care about having the most recent features, but you want stability, you kind of install it and then, it works. It'll be supported for a couple years. This release is if you want updates. However, until January 2026, so this release is going to last for like 3 months. But generally, these releases are very robust, so it'll be all right. Let's see if it'll start. Oh, pack run. Okay. So this is I would say it is extremely easy. However, it doesn't have the most advanced features. So if you want to get deep into like hypervisors or whatnot, I would recommend installing something called I think Kimu However, for most of you who don't really care about advanced features and just want Ubuntu somewhere, this is your best bet. Well, I wonder if Boxes is cross-platform. So let's see. So GNOME boxes. Oh, it is available on Microsoft Windows. So literally just download this for Windows and you'll be good. Let's see. GNOME boxes Windows. So yeah, if you just look it up, you should be good. So you want to pick up Ubuntu Desktop 25. I believe that is going to be the proper version. Let's see, Ubuntu. Yeah, that's 25. So that'll be Plucky Puffin. That's the one I've been writing the build scripts for. Well, not even that. The scripts are designed for a bare bones Docker container. Firmware. Memory storage limit. I would recommend going up to 50 if you're using this for the long term, maybe even 100. But generally, you won't be messing with files of that size, and from my understanding, you could probably expand it. Memory 4 gigs. So I have like 32 gigs on my computer, so let's create. Install it. Super escape. Okay. So we're beginning the Ubuntu installation process, and let's see if we can do full screen. Let's see this. So if I do full screen or F11, yeah. Only that, I'd probably recommend putting performance mode. I don't know if you can hear the PC fans going, but they're starting to start up. Let's see. So if you're able to run this in something called a hypervisor instead of a supervisor, what that allows this operating system to do is basically run on the bare metal instead of having to go through multiple application levels. Okay. Updates. Let's skip that. Let's just install it. Sure. And so remember, this is a virtual machine. There's nothing. I'm just really gonna call. And yes, 123. Actually, let's be. Now it's gonna put in password 123, but this one's I really don't want to type that much, and this is like literally tutorial. If you are doing a lot of your stuff that's to be secure on your virtual machine, you might as well dual boot, in my opinion. Chicago. If you want to see what's going on, like, not gonna lie, if you ever become like a hacker or a pen tester, you're literally gonna be like staring at this all day. Cause like, if you've ever worked or done like sysadmin stuff, like there's no GUI. Well, there probably are, but it's just more efficient to work with a command line because you can automate stuff in scripts. So, and I mean, 90% of hacking could be considered a sysadmin gone rogue. Well, once they obtain that level of access, I guess. So, don't quote me on that though. It's pretty cool. So it's running rsync. Rsync's a pretty cool utility. I use it to back up my laptop because instead of doing just a plain copy, once you have the main copy done, which I'd recommend doing not through rsync but through just main copy, rsync will only copy the files which have changed. So if the file hasn't changed, it just skips over it instead of doing an overwrite. And only that, it because like the CP command where it tells you like or if you do like a standard GUI copy paste, it looks at the file names, not the content of the file. So if it has the same file name, it either just tell to like overwrite. Rsync does some sort of like hashing magic where it's able to compare the contents of the files. For those of you who don't know, hashing is you take an input, say like a file, you get an output, and the function is in a way where if you flip a bit, the output would be vastly different. And the output is pretty much just an ID. Usually it's represented in like a large hexadecimal number. but that's just pretty much it. It's you're assigning IDs to a bunch of inputs, and it should be done in a manner where no matter what the input is, there's a very low risk of collision, which means where you have two inputs giving the same output, because there's a mathematical theorem called the pigeonhole theorem where if so let's say you have a function, let's say it has a distinct number, so it's discrete, so it's just integers, which means it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. There's no 1.5 because like when you're dealing with files anyways, it's discrete. Even if those in the billions, there is a countable amount of ones and zeros, and they come in a full package. So there's either one or two, not half a one or half a zero or half a bit. So if you have, let's say, 10 potential files, but your hashing function gives an output of, let's say, 5 bits, well, files of 10 bits, but it outputs it in like 4 bits, then you have, let's see, let me reword this, because this would probably be easier to understand. So let's say I have the numbers 1 through 10, right? If I feed a number into this hashing function, the hashing function just gives me a 1, 2, or 3. So there are more numbers in the input to assign to the output. And in order for this function to be defined for all the input numbers, that means that at least one of those output numbers has to have multiple numbers. There's a formal proof, but if you think of it like, I guess the analogy was there's like a pigeonhole. So let's say you had like a 9x9 container, but then you had like 10 pigeons, and if all the pigeons are nested in all possible combinations, at least one of the holes has to have more than one pigeon. And it's also, it seems kind of obscure, but it is interestingly significant in the sense that I don't know if you've worked with lossless compression like zip files, but it does mean that there exists some files in lossless compression which results in a larger file size, which is just, that's mind-blowing. Mathematically, there has to be files which result in larger file sizes. And if you look it up on the internet, that is the case. There are people who do complain that their files after compression end up taking more space. And it's because it's the pigeonhole theorem, because these functions are trying to reduce the size, which means that it reduces the number of pigeonholes than there are pigeons. I swear, this could be like taken out of like just put into a montage. I've like said so many sus quotes already. So there's more pigeons than pigeonholes. So that means, some of them are just going to be larger. Okay, so as you can see, patience is a virtue in programming. We're at 14 minutes and 17 seconds and still setting it up. You can also see that the process isn't really that bad. I mean, I'll put a timestamp just saying skip ahead until like I guess the thing is installed. So it's installing third-party drivers, so we're almost done. Some sort of security details. S ubiquity log, security ubiquity log. You know, you